Hi, everyone. This is Wendy with Cole in the Community. We're very excited today to have Judy Blake with us from Family to Family Network. And so, Judy, thank you for joining us. We absolutely love you. You are one of our autism resource guides for families. We refer you guys a lot just because of your great support. So could you kind of share with everybody who you are and what you do?
Thank you so much, Wendy. The second I met you at one of the networking meetings, we immediately clicked. And I love your energy. I love the mission of Cole. And you are such a great representative for them. They are very, very lucky to have you on their team. So thank you for having me. It's an honor. And when I got your email, I was like, oh, I was so excited. So thank you. I am the Leadership and Advocacy Coordinator for Family to Family Network. We have been around for 30 years. We are celebrating our 30th anniversary. In fact, on December 1st, save the date. And we're having our virtual luncheon. We are a small nonprofit. I believe we are tiny but mighty. And we have been empowering families for 30 years. We provide resources and support. And we believe that if you are educated, you feel empowered. And you know that more than anyone, Wendy, being the parent of a young child with disabilities. You advocate for your child, and then you can pass on those advocacy skills to your child. And that's what we do at Family to Family Network. So as Leadership and Advocacy Coordinator, I am very fortunate to run classes now virtually, but they used to be in person. But we do so much more than that. We really connect with families. Pre-COVID, we used to be able to go to so many resource fairs, so many transition fairs, all over Houston, Fort Bend, Brazoria, you name it. And it was wonderful because we really could connect with families and give them information. The school systems, the healthcare systems, the social service agencies, they are beyond complex. What we try to do is help families cut through that red tape and educate them as to how they can get services for their loved one, because it really is complicated. So we educate them on how to make that happen and what they can do to get services for their loved one.
That is such a great answer. I don't think you can top it off with that, anything else, but I really like how your mission is so organic in the approach of so many times in working with providers. I mean, my statement is almost the same as yours, to where you're not just diagnosing a child with disabilities, it's the whole family learning to adjust. And what a great resource you are to the community by giving them these tools for empowerment. And so that's why you're on our resource list for sure.
It really is. And it isn't just about even helping them navigate. It's connecting them with providers like Cole Health. And that's why I do so much networking with providers, because we have a list of ABA therapists, speech therapists, and it goes by insurance, like most things, and it goes by location. What's most convenient for that family to use that therapist?
Right.
And what's going to work best for the family? Can they afford that therapist? And is it convenient for them? So that's why networking is so important. So we want to connect the family to the right therapist, but we don't know what's best for them. They know what is best for them. We just provide the information, but there's so much out there. And as wonderful as the internet is, there is good and not so good on the internet. But I think one of the highlights of what we do at Family to Family is really getting to know our families. If there are two stories that I could really share with you, and we have incredible parent liaisons, and two of our parent liaisons are bilingual. And I use Google Translate personally. I took 4 years of Spanish in high school back in the 70s, and clearly that was not very meaningful for me. So I use Google Translate or my colleagues when needed. But it's very hard for the underserved to get services. And but one woman, she received this letter from a social service agency saying that she was denied. And I won't mention the agency, it doesn't matter. And she's like, I don't understand why I got this letter. Technically, I should be eligible. And she's right. So I contacted my resources and they're like, yeah, she should be. So rather than reapply, I called with her to the agency and we wait on hold and we wait on hold. You know what that's like. Time out of your life you'll never get back, as I say. And after going through all of the motions, they're like, oh, we don't know why you got that letter. You never should have gotten that letter. It's pending with the state. You'll find out in 4 months if you're approved. Really? Really? And it's like, the mother never would have figured that out. It's a very intimidating process. There's another woman, and this is beyond heartbreaking. She does not speak English. They moved here from another country to achieve a better life. They have a 27-year-old with disabilities. The father was working. Tragically, he got COVID, passed away. 2 years ago, she got cancer, struggling, going through chemotherapy, and didn't know what to do, where to get her daughter's services. So I'm helping her. And she has no computer. So I'm hooking her up. And again, fortunately, thank God for Google Translate and my colleagues who can help me. But it takes so many villages to help our families. So these are just two of the really important stories of people who really need our services. And the work that we do is vitally important to the families that we serve. I could go on and on and on, but I know we don't have time for that. But we've been doing this for 30 years, long before the internet existed.
They almost have you as a barrier breaker, Judy, with everything that y'all are doing. It's just
Yeah.
what a great solution for these families to be able to turn to you. Such a time of need, especially when it comes to your child or even an older sibling or adult with, disabilities. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely. And Wendy, that's when the services drop off. And
Mhm.
that's why we stress to families, have a plan. Because when your child graduates high school, nothing is free anymore. The only thing that you're entitled to, as you know, being a Partners in Policy graduate, go Wendy, is a free and appropriate public education.
Yeah.
But beyond that, nothing is free. And parents have got to have a plan. So we really try to educate them as much as possible, but it's really important to do that.
It is.
And so really important.
So Judy, what are some of your, for families right now, kind of just struggling in the situations that we're in and facing, what are some tips that you would give families just to help them through this time, whether it's, them facing a diagnosis or suspecting a disability? What are your guides for that?
So it's really important if you feel that, okay, first off, Family to Family Network, we are not social workers, diagnosticians, speech therapists, physical therapists. We're not any of that, although we are like social workers every day. So I want to make that really clear. Although people ask me if I'm a social worker, and I feel like a social worker, as do my colleagues. First off, talk to your pediatrician. I think that's really important. We have what we call local authorities in Texas. So there is an 800 number through Health and Human Services that you can call Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And that number is 877-787-8999. And I will email that to you. And that's the number for Health and Human Services. And what you do is you choose your language and then you press option 3, like most recordings. And you determine what they call your local authority is. And they're called, some people pronounce it LIDA, some people pronounce it LIDA. And that stands for Local Intellectual and Developmental Disability Authority. They will determine if your child has the disability. So if your child is birth to age 3, it's called early childhood intervention. Those are the people that you would contact if your child is birth to age 3. Beyond that, age 3 and older, you would contact your home school, meaning your zoned school. So your neighborhood school. So you look up on Google, what is my home school? You put in your zip code and it will tell you what your home school is. So you may think it's the school around the corner when you could be on the border of another school. So you really have to check to see what is your home school. So birth to age 3, you're contacting early childhood intervention services. And it's really important that you contact them. Years ago, when my son was diagnosed, everything was free. Now it's based on your income and it's a sliding scale. So it's still minimal, but it is a sliding scale. So, but that is who you would contact, that 877 number through Health and Human Services. But again, not sure who to call Family to Family Network, and we can help you determine who you should call. But age 3 and over, you would contact your home school and you would email the school and tell them everything needs to be in writing. As we say, and you know this, if it's not in writing, it did not exist. And you know that more than anybody. And you tell them you want an evaluation of your child. They will have someone evaluate your child.
Very well. I like that. It seems like sometimes parents are like, well, other parents should know that. Well, if you're facing this and it's completely new to you, this is new. Like parents don't know.
Don't know.
And so it's so, and for families that find this out later too, when their kids are maybe at an older age, like I didn't know I could ask. And so,
Right.
I mean, there's definitely that information still very critical. And so thank you for
it's
talking
true. And you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
And, when I was dealing with this my son's 25 years old. And, back then we had no internet and I mean, it was so different. But even today, you don't know what you don't know. Some families maybe didn't even finish high school. Some are immigrants to this country. You can't fault people for that. You can't. The important thing is getting the child the resources and the support that they need. That is the most important thing, because people will sometimes say, oh, you're taking one side or the other. No, I'm not. I'm on the side of the child. That's all that matters to me.
One of our core values in our company is patients first, and that comes first.
That's exactly right.
Everything is, we're all about our patients and child first, and everything else will come into place, but that's
exactly right. That's exactly right.
So what are some great resources? What are some of your favorite resources to share out to families? I know You probably have a list of thousands.
You know, we really do. And you know, it's really interesting because with COVID and everything, COVID has just changed everything that we do. And it's really challenging. Um, most people had never really heard of the TEA, Texas Education Agency. And now you're hearing TEA, TEA, TEA. So I encourage people to check out the Texas Education Agency.
Mhm.
So with COVID, we're seeing some really wonderful agencies coming forward to donate, but we're also seeing a lot of families hurting tremendously. We're seeing so many families suffering tremendously. And I think it's really important. One thing I want to mention before I answer your question is that families who have children in school, make sure they talk to their school and find out if your child has an IEP in place, that plan in place. What is the plan?
Mhm.
I know that some parents do not want to send their children to school. Maybe they're concerned of their child getting COVID, and I completely understand. It's an individual choice. Maybe their child is learning better at home because of anxiety, and that's okay. But don't say to the school, okay, I want to now all of a sudden homeschool my child. Choose virtual learning because you want to keep those IEP guidelines and that IEP in place. Choose virtual learning. So I just want to make sure that's really clear.
Mhm.
Keep those lines of communication open with the school and ask, how is the school going to keep those IEP guidelines in place with virtual learning?
And what is the best way to communicate, Judy, when parents are communicating to the schools?
In writing. Don't do it over the phone. If it happened over the phone, it did not happen. Keep a paper trail of everything.
Mhm.
And also to please be patient with schools. I know, and a lot of times families will call and say, what's the best school district? You know, I've raised two sons through public schools, and I've also done private schools in the early years. There is no such thing as the best private school, the worst private school, the best public school, the worst public school. It all depends on the relationship that you build with those teachers, the connections that your child makes with those teachers, and that you as a parent develop with those teachers, and the relationship that is made with the kids in the class. All of that goes into play to create a successful year. I've had the most amazing teachers over spanning almost 30 years because I have an older son. And I'm telling you, they have been incredible. But sometimes the makeup of the class wasn't so great. My sons were bullied, both of them were. And that made for a terrible year. The teachers tried the best they could, but it was not a good year. And it was very challenging. And as a parent, I was angry, I was hurt, and it was awful. No parent, no child should ever have to go through that. But no teacher ever goes into the profession saying, I'm going to retire early because they're making so much money. They do it because they want to make a difference in the life of a child. So take the opportunity to educate the teacher about your child. I would always go in and educate the teacher. I would create basically a one-page profile about my child. I would say to them a few weeks into and I apologize for getting off task, so forgive me, but I would go in a few weeks after and say, this is my son. This is who he is. This is what makes him tick. And this is what works best for him. I know you have 30 other students, but this is what works best for him. And if you have any questions, I'm available day or night. So they know who he is.
Mhm.
And things like that help. I'm an open book. Please feel free to ask me any questions. And we encourage parents to do that. Keep those lines of communication open. So you had asked about resources. So of course, familytofamilynetwork.org. We have great information for you. Another great website is Texas Project First. It provides accurate and consistent information on the special education process. It is written for parents, by parents, and it's also in both English and Spanish, which is really, really important. We live in a bilingual world, and it's really a fabulous website. Another website that I love that is written in multiple languages, I mean Vietnamese, Mandarin, Farsi, Hindu, you name it, is Navigate Life Texas. An amazing, amazing website. You're smiling, you must know that website. It is
What's the most
incredible.
critical thing for a family that has a child with a disability to do when they go to Navigate Live Texas, Judy? They need to sign up on the what?
Is
On
the interest list. Yes, sign up on the interest list, and Navigate Life Texas can show you how to do that, along with Texas Project First, and Family to Family Network can tell you how to do that as well. So yes, absolutely. But I love Navigate Life Texas. And I think there was one other website I wanted to mention. Also too, there's another wonderful website called SPEDTEX, SPEDTEX.org. You can actually talk to a live person. Isn't that wonderful? A live person. So that's a great website, and it's an 888 number, and you can speak to a live person also about the school process as well. So I encourage people, if you're not on Facebook, I know some people are not on social media, but we are on social media on Facebook. Go to Family to Family Network, like us. It lists all the upcoming events that we have. And we are very active on Facebook. We have an amazing event on August 19th, Wednesday. We are having the amazing, the incredible, the highly respected Dustin Reinders from Disability Rights Texas. We know parents are very, very anxious about going back to school. So we're having an event at noon and 7 p.m. called Let's Talk About Going Back to School with Dustin Reinders, and you can email your questions ahead of time. And there's a flyer on our Facebook page. We will be talking about what are your concerns. We know you have many concerns, and we want to address them. So Dustin is the education attorney for Disability Rights Texas. He is dedicated beyond words about serving families and making sure their needs are met. So we want you to join us 2 times, noon and 7 p.m. And we are also having our upcoming virtual leadership and advocacy classes. That poster is also on our Family to Family Network page. And so you can join us. Our classes are free for self-advocates and family members. And we also offer CEUs for educators, social workers, and LPCs for a nominal fee. So, we're having to adjust like everyone else. COVID has been very challenging for all of us. As you know, parents are able to work from home, which has been helpful in some ways, but challenging in others. One final thing that I do want to mention is the importance of self-care. We talk about it all the time. I know it's very challenging for me. My son is at home. And if you can, take even 5 minutes out of the day for self-care. It is so important, so important. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, you are not able to take care of your kids. But know that you're not alone. I call parents at night. I call them on the weekends, any time of day. And we're all in this together, Wendy. You know that. You know that more than anybody. And
Yeah.
you're one of the most dedicated professionals, one of the most dedicated parents, and you were put in my path for a reason.
Thank you, Judy. I love my tribe, as I say. Like
Yes,
you've
yes.
got to build your village with your kid, and it's an absolute tribe. I am definitely interested in the advocacy classes because, as a previous special education teacher and then working in the field, I I learned so much as a parent. So
You did.
I hope parents really take advantage of these advocacy classes because there are services that you do
Yes,
not think about, and especially my son being young, I had my mommy blinders on, and he's
right.
going to grow up today, and it's going to come quicker than what I
He
expect.
is. He is. And we want parents to think about what is the plan?
Mhm.
What is the plan? Because those services are going to end.
Mhm.
And people must realize that parents aren't going to be around forever. And we don't want them waking up when their son or daughter turns 18 and says, well, what is that plan now? Well, that plan should have been worked on when they were very young. You
Mhm.
know, when they were in middle school, what do they like to do? When they were high school, they should have been attending those art meetings. And life doesn't stop with COVID. Art meetings are still happening. They're just virtual.
Mhm.
So make sure you're up to date. Make sure you are following what the guidelines are and get educated. And if you don't know what the answers are, that's okay. I promise you, I ask questions over and over again, Wendy. I don't know about you.
All the
I
time.
don't remember everything. No way. I can promise you, some of the questions I ask, I'm thinking, I can't believe I just asked that question, but that's okay. And it may seem like a silly question. And then I tell myself, Judy, no question is too silly.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's what I tell parents. They're like, I'm sorry to ask you this question. Don't apologize. No question is too silly.
I actually find it reinforcing when I have those questions on a Zoom and I ask it, and then I see other parents in the chat. I was thinking the same thing. Me
Right.
too. I'm in the same boat.
But they're
Right?
too embarrassed to ask.
Yeah.
And I tell them that it's okay.
Mhm.
No question is silly.
Right.
And it's really, we all are learning day by day. And that's one of the reasons I love my colleagues, because we're all in this together and it's impossible to know everything.
Mhm.
And I know I went way over my time and I apologize, forgive me.
You're
So
fine.
I love what I do and I could talk to you forever, so forgive me.
You're
But
fine.
I just, and I'm so passionate about what I do and I just want to help families and it matters to me
It definitely.
because 25 years ago, there was no internet and I'm making up for lost time.
I love that. I feel that we're in the same boat sometimes to where it's like we're providing services that we wish we had,
You know
and
what? That's exactly right, you know,
Mhm.
and I so applaud the work that you do. I wish I had known about partners in policymaking many, many years ago. I didn't even know that it existed. And I wish that I had known about it.
Mhm.
I look at sometimes the regrets that I have, you know, the shoulda, woulda, coulda through the years. And one thing that I tell parents is what I try to tell myself. I've done the best that I could. Do I wish I could have done things differently? Absolutely. There is no doubt about it, Wendy. I've done the best that I could being a single parent all of these years for the last 20 years. If anyone thinks they could have done my job better, please sign up. And in 20 years, no one has ever signed up. So just remember, parents, you are not alone. Family2familynetwork.org. We are here, and companies like Cole Health and people like Wendy, we are here to support you.
Thank you so much, Judy. I'm going to include all the links that you mentioned
Please
today.
do.
And if y'all have any questions, always know the lines are open for Judy, and we'll have her
You bet.
contact information as well.
Thank you.
And she's on our resource list. And from the bottom of our hearts, Judy, thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you do in the community. It's not just helping our community, but statewide and nationally too. It's just an amazing, amazing community that we live in to network with you. So thank you.
My pleasure. Wendy, have a great day.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. Bye.